Hello. TikTok is one of the most successful and famous apps in world history. However, the app is becoming an enemy of the most powerful countries, including the United States and the European Union. So why are the US and EU considering TikTok as an enemy, and will this cause TikTok to collapse in the future? Let's find out with Knowledge Hub in this video. First, let's start with the situation around the world. Western countries are currently constantly issuing laws banning TikTok. They taking strong actions with the goal of completely removing TikTok from these countries. Leading the battle with TikTok, we cannot help but think of the United States, US. Of course, because the US is the country with the fiercest battle with China in both economics and politics. Besides, the US is also a superpower with the world's leading security system. So anything that brings no good to this position will be prevented by the US. This has been demonstrated very clearly when the United States is the most resolute country in eliminating TikTok. As soon as TikTok emerged in 2019, many US officials that the Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, investigate TikTok for issues of data collection and threats to national security. By 2020, President Trump had firmly declared that he would ban the app throughout the United States. Although President Trump was not re-elected to continue this mission, his successor, President Biden, is also not taking it lightly with TikTok. Specifically, in 2023, the US government ordered that TikTok be removed from all federal government-owned devices within 30 days. This means that citizens' personal devices can still be used, but the interesting thing in the US is that each state has the right to enact its own laws. Therefore, some states such as New Jersey and Ohio have independently enacted laws banning all citizens from using TikTok. The governor of New Jersey said that in addition to prohibiting TikTok, he would also ban all Chinese products from companies such as Huawei, Tencent Holding, or HIK Vision. And there may be more states joining this movement in the future. Following the US, Denmark declared TikTok a potential espionage risk and requested that all employees remove the TikTok app from their devices after the country's cybersecurity center under a foreign intelligence agency assessed that the app posed a threat. Shortly thereafter, the European Commission also took similar action. The European Commission banned TikTok on mobile devices for all employees, calling it a cybersecurity measure. European Commission employees were required to delete the TikTok app on all devices used for work before March 15. In Norway, although the country is not a member of the EU, the Minister of Justice had to publicly apologize to the public for being caught secretly installing TikTok on his phone. Additionally, there are many other countries that prohibit government employees from using TikTok, such as Canada, Denmark, Australia. Meanwhile, the UK, Czech Republic, and Ireland are also investigating the security of TikTok's data to determine whether or not to prohibit the app and, if so, to what extent. It seems that TikTok is facing the biggest boycott ever. In response, TikTok representatives said they were very disappointed that the bans were based on unfounded claims. Additionally, TikTok is trying to do everything possible to prove that they are not a security threat, and that they do not collect data to report to the Chinese government. However, how can we believe this when TikTok has done the following things? In the US, TikTok spent around $1.5 billion to restructure the company through partnerships with cloud computing software conglomerate Oracle. Specifically, all US user data will be stored on Oracle Cloud. With new user data exclusively stored on the provider's servers, Oracle has begun reviewing TikTok's source code technology architecture, and application platform to assess security risks. In other words, TikTok wants to say that now they store data in a US company, managed by Americans, so there is no need to worry about data breaches. Additionally, third parties, including the US government, also have the authority to approve TikTok's business operations. In addition, this app also established a subsidiary named TikTok US Data Security, which is operated by an independent board of directors who supervise the technical team and operate the product with reliability, safety, legality, privacy, and security. However, this is estimated to cost about $1 billion annually, including salaries for employees, third-party auditing, and code inspection. Meanwhile, in Europe, TikTok is planning to open 3 new server centers to store data from over 150 million user accounts. Currently, TikTok is seen as a security threat in countries like the US and Europe and has the potential to steal user data to send back to the Chinese government. Specifically, the Chinese government holds a 1% stake in ByteDance, the parent company of TikTok. As a result, the Chinese government may have the ability to manipulate content on Douyin, the domestic version of TikTok in China. Moreover, a Chinese government official also holds one of the 3 director seats in this corporation. Nevertheless, TikTok always affirms that they have never and will never provide data to the government. However, on December 22, the company admitted that employees in China and the US had improperly accessed user data. Specifically, at least 2 journalists were reportedly tracked and their personal information was collected. In addition to data issues, TikTok is also suspected of intentionally manipulating the psychology of young people. Specifically, the chairman of the US Senate Intelligence Committee said that if you look at what children in China are watching on their version of TikTok, that emphasizes science and technology, compared to what children in our country and the world are watching, it is very different. Therefore, in addition to data collection, TikTok is also seen as a propaganda tool for China. What do you think about TikTok and the ban imposed by Western countries? Let's discuss this. Thank you for watching the video. Goodbye and see you again.